Hi friends, welcome to another episode of Cosplay Vicar. Today I'm going to do a review. I don't do reviews, I'm a cosplay channel, but I'm going to do a review because I'm really irritated by my feed on YouTube, riddled with people talking absolute garbage about the new Indiana Jones film. And I just want to remind us, we're talking about a movie here. And some of the reviews, Indiana Jones destroyed the franchise, worst film ever, destroying Disney. I'm like, oh, come on, give me a break. Are you watching the same film that I'm watching? If you look back on those original movies, Indiana Jones, any of the original ones, I'm just thinking about the Temple of Doom, where Indiana Jones jumps out of a plane in a rubber dinghy, goes down a mountainside, off a cliff. I'm thinking, these films are ridiculously foolish, but wonderful because they're movies. And you just see the reviews online and think, right, okay, I loved this film. No, did I love it? I really loved it. I didn't love it, but I loved it. And I would give it 3.9 out of 5. I wouldn't give it 4 out of 5. I'd give it 3.9 out of 5. It's no Raiders of the Lost Ark. It ain't no Temple of Doom. And it isn't, it's certainly not as bad as the last film we're not going to mention. But I'd give it 3.9. I think it's really good, but it's not amazing. But it's a really solid, good Indiana Jones film. And I want to explain to you why I think it's just a really good Indiana Jones film. I'm not sure what people are expecting when they go to see a film at the cinema. But for me, this is kind of what I was expecting. It's a good old... Harrison Ford in it is fantastic. Indy is great. He carries the film. There's a whole thing out there. This is going to be filled full of spoilers. That Indy was going to die at the end of this film. He doesn't die at the end of this film. I do wonder if they did change the ending, though. There's something about the ending that makes me wonder, did they just change this slightly? But he doesn't die at the end of the film. There's no handing over the hat to anybody else. This really is an Indiana Jones film. So a couple of things I just want to kind of touch on. The plot. I loved the plot. I thought it was really clever. I loved the ending of it. All the Indiana Jones films have had some supernatural thing about it. So why can't we believe in time travel in all of this? Hey, if we believe there's a God in the Ark of the Covenant, come on, we're in a universe here where these things really are a part of it. So, why can't we believe in time travel? And I thought the ending was really nicely done. I loved the way the plot used time right from the very beginning when you hear the clock ticking all the way through. This film is about time. It's about aging. And I love seeing Indy at his prime in the beginning, and then you see Indy exhausted. Here's a man that's put his body through it, and now his body's struggling. Even the way that Harrison Ford walks kind of, for me, fits that this is a very tired Indy. But still, he finds the energy to go through what he's going to do. This certainly is not an adventure that he chose to go on. This is an adventure that he had to go on. And that's what I loved about this. A couple of things that I did love. I absolutely love the diving. I've always wanted to see Indiana Jones diving down to find something in the bottom of the ocean. So I loved the diving scenes. I thought that was really clever. And I thought the eels in that diving scene were really clever as well. It was a nice nod to snakes without actually completely going there. So I loved the plot. I loved it starting with original Indy and then ending with the Indy where he is right now. I loved that arc. I felt the story had a real arc to it. It was thought through where it was going to go and how it was going to end. So I really liked that. And I thought the cinematography was just beautiful. It was really well made. Lots of complaints on my YouTube about it being too dark at the beginning and hiding bad CGI. I don't know if it's the cinema that they were in, but I did not feel it was too dark at all. I could clearly see what was happening in the film. Touching on the CGI for a minute, there were one or two moments where the CGI at the beginning did look plasticky. It didn't quite look as perfect as maybe Harrison Ford had said it was going to look. But it wasn't enough to take me out of the film because I was in the film. The opening scene when they took the bag off his head, I thought that was beautifully done. It convinced me this was indie, which meant all of the little bits where it looked maybe a little bit more ropey, I actually could go with that. So I had no problem with that at all. I thought the cinematography was outstanding. I thought the early Nazi scene was beautifully filmed. I thought the diving scene was beautifully filmed. Even the tuk-tuk chase I thought was really well filmed. I felt it was a bit too long, that whole section. I didn't really care for that whole section. It just kept going a little bit too long for me. But actually, that was fine, and I thought it was beautifully filmed. So there's a whole cinematography in it. I thought it was well put together. It was put together better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where I felt it was a lot of green. It felt like a lot of green screen all the time. There was one or two shots in this that I thought, I think I'm watching green screen right now. But actually, most of it felt like it was filmed in situ, and I really loved that. Talk about the pacing for a minute. I think that second act with the tuk-tuk for me was just a bit too long. If they'd have cut that down, it for me wouldn't have lost anything. But I loved it. It's a film of 4 parts, 4 chunks essentially, and I loved what they did with each one. Each one felt different. I really loved that last third, the adventure part where they're going down into the tombs and they find the grave. I just thought that was beautifully filmed. That felt like a good indie adventure. That was like, for me, if we got nothing else but that, I was very happy. So I loved that. I think the pacing of it was okay. I felt the first bit was brilliant. The latter end was great. That tuk-tuk, I just felt it was fast. I mean, every shot was really fast in the way that it was put together. But I kind of felt, really, that I just didn't need it as much. If they'd have cut a lot of that out, I'd have probably been very happy. But that's me being totally picky in kind of my own, what I would have enjoyed. Thematically, I love this growing old. I love this idea of time being used. I love the device that we have in it. I think that this Dial of Destiny was really nicely done. I actually loved the blade at the beginning as well. That's supposedly the blade that was used to pierce the side of Christ. I loved that. I'm definitely going to be making that blade. I loved it. It was a nod to like the old indie kind of tale going for a religious artifact. I loved how they kind of put that in. And it is a real item. There are people who claim to have that item. So I found that I enjoyed that. I enjoyed doing the research afterwards as well about that particular item. But I loved the theme throughout it of growing old and the use of time. I thought that was really nicely done. Let's talk about a few of the characters. So Eleanor, few people said before we went into the movie, oh, she's going to be stealing the show. They're making it all about her. She's the new female Indy. What? You watching the same films that I ended up watching? None of that at all. She is a companion. She has her own story. She's a bit of a scumbag. So I love that she wasn't trying to be like Indiana Jones at all. I didn't feel like she was in the place of Indiana Jones. There was no moment where she picks up the hat as if she's about to put it on, but then doesn't. None of that kind of stuff like what we had with Mutt at the end of Crystal Skull. I thought she was a great side character. I didn't feel like she stepped into the limelight at all, any more than any other female lead. And I love Indy playing against that kind of other character. I think that works really well. He can't be on his own. He needs somebody else. So I actually thought she worked really well. And I thought it was well acted. And I kind of liked where the character went. And I love how she changed over the end. So by the end, she is interested in him and she's interested in what they're going through. And she wants to kind of save him at the end of that kind of scene with Rome in Sicily. Mutt, sad that they killed him off, but what else were they going to do? And I think they killed him off in a way that felt hearty and it affected Indy. So I was quite happy with that. The fact that we're never going to see that character again in anything else is sad, but I kind of got it, and I think it gave some gravitas, some heart to the film. Marion, I would have loved. If you're going to change anything, I'd have said, actually, this whole divorce thing I didn't need that. I mean, we could have had a situation where at the beginning they were arguing and they weren't getting along. And then by the end, they've kind of reconciled. I felt that could have happened. I just think it was a sad way to start with Indy. Not necessary. sure about really. I did feel like they added her in quite last minute. That wasn't something that was in there for a long while, I think. So, but I would have liked to have seen more of her. I wasn't sure that she'd become a hippie. You know, she'd wear that kind of hippie dress. I felt that they didn't quite use her as well as they could. But completely happy with that. Jurgen, the Nazi. I thought it was really well done. I loved having the Nazis back in the story as well. Indian Nazis. That's what it's about. The Russians, not, you know, didn't bother me, the Crystal Skull, that much. You know, they were just baddies, really. But the Nazis, that really felt like going back to old school Indiana Jones, and I was very happy with that. So overall, I love it. I don't know what people are expecting. Look, gang, we're watching a film about a fake archaeologist who we've never actually seen do any real archaeology. He's just an adventurer. I think it was really well done. I enjoyed it. It was good fun. First time I watched it, I came out. I was like, well, that's good. It's all right. It's not bad. I didn't know what, you know. I knew all of the pieces from the trailer, but I just didn't know how it was going to add together. Saw it for a second time and came out and went, actually, I really do enjoy that. Now I know the plot. I know where it's going. Actually, I really enjoyed it. There was some really nice touches and nods in there to the overall story arc earlier in the film. I thought was very clever. So I really enjoyed it. I'm going to go back a third time and see it at the cinema for sure. I want to take my kids to go and see it as well. My wife really enjoyed it. She loves sitting there and watching it with me. My parents are heading out to see it because I've said, look, it's really worth seeing. My dad's an Indiana Jones fan. I'm like, go, you're going to love it. It's just a good Indiana Jones film. So I'd give it that 3.9 out of 5. It's no 4 out of 5. It's not as low as a 3. It's that higher 3 for me. So I'm content and I'm quite happy. I would love to hear what you have to say. Do you have a positive review of this film? Did you enjoy Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny? I'd love to hear your positive murmurings about this film because there's just been so much negativity out there. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Where would you put it out of 5? And I'd love to also ask this question. Having seen it, would you be up for seeing another Indiana Jones in some shape or form? Would you be interested in that? And I'd love to know, would you be interested in a spin-off movie with Short Round? I just wonder, could you do another indie film where the first part of the movie is Indy meeting Short Round, and Short Round goes off on some adventure and it kind of passes the baton over to Short Round for a collection of Short Round movies? Is that something we could kind of be interested in? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Friends, until next time, enjoy indie, enjoy cosplay, and I'll see you soon.